Hello Stonites, I hope and pray that you are healthy, strong and safe. So welcome to the next video. Today I'll be taking Science for grade 7, that is from the unit 3, that is states of matter. So today's learning objectives will be as follows: particle theory, diffusion, investigating diffusion, Brownian motion, gas pressure. As you can see, the particle theory, that is state of matter. First of all, what is matter? The basic definition: matter is anything that takes up space. Now when you look to the next question, what are the different states of matter, or what are the states of matter? As we all know, there are three states of matter known as solids, liquid, gases, takes up space. As you can see in the next slide, where I have given a small picture illustration showing the different states of matter. If you can first see the solid, you can see that the molecules are tightly and rigidly packed. When we move on to the next one, it's a liquid, where you can see that the molecules are loosely packed. Whereas when you compare to the subsequent gas molecules, we can see that the molecules are freely around. Now moving on to the next slide, where you can see the question is, what is a solid? We can see the different points given down there. A solid is the simplest state of matter. A solid has three main properties, namely it has a definite shape, it has a definite mass, it has a definite volume. A solid will always look the same and take up the same amount of space. For example, you can take up the example like everything that you can see around you, like the chalk, duster, your books, your cell phone, TV, everything is solid. Now let's move on to liquid. Okay, actually what is a liquid? As you can see, a liquid is the most fluid and ever-changing state of matter. A liquid has these three main properties. It does not have a definite shape. That means it can acquire the shape of anything that it's being put into. It has a definite mass. Irrespective of the shape, it always has a definite mass. It has a definite volume as well. A liquid will always take up the same amount of space and take the shape of its container or any vessels that where we put the liquids in. Now moving on to the next, we can see gas. What is a gas? A gas is the most complex and difficult to understand state of matter. A gas has three main properties, unlike the same as the liquid and the solids. First is, it does not have a definite shape. It does not have a definite mass. It does not have a definite volume. A gas does not always weigh the same or take up the same amount of space. However, like a liquid, a gas will always take the shape of its container, no matter the size or shape of that container. Just a small picture as an example of gas has been put in the slide, which you can see through. Now moving to the next, that is the changing states of matter. What happens when matter changes state? The three most familiar states of matter, as we all know, are solid, liquid and gas. A change of state is a change of substance from one's physical form of matter to another. Say an example of ice. When we heat or when we boil ice, it changes into water. That means it changes its states from solid to liquid. And when we heat the liquid, again it changes its state from liquid to gas. When a substance undergoes a physical change, it does not change its identity, just its appearance. Change a substance from one state to another, energy must be added or removed. When a substance gains or loses energy, its temperature changes or its state changes. A small example in the shape of picture has been put forward in the slide, where you can see the solid, liquid and gas, and then the changes in their state. Solid, when heated, gets converted into liquid. In the same way, when liquid gets heated, it gets converted into gas. The same way, when the steam condenses, it converts back to solid, and vice versa. Moving on to the next, we have diffusion. Actually, what is diffusion? Diffusion, the movement of particles in a solid form, an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration, resulting in the uniform distribution of the substance. We should also remember that during diffusion, molecules move from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. They are said to move down a concentration gradient. Next, the material that undergoes the transport is known as diffusant or permeant or penetrant. A small example has been given in the next slide, where you can see that the movement of particles from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration, where the molecules distributes uniformly throughout the area. Now moving on to the next one, the Brownian motion. First, let's learn the history of the Brownian motion. The history of Brownian motion. Robert Brown was a Scottish biologist. In 1827, he watched pollen grains jiggling about under the microscope. He was the first scientist to describe this motion. It was given the name Brownian motion. That is how we come to know what Brownian motion is and how it originated. Robert Brown was puzzled by what he saw. He tried to think of an explanation. He thought that the pollen grains might be moving around actively, swimming in the water. At the time that Robert Brown lived, no one knew that substances are made up of tiny particles in constant motion, so they could not explain Brownian motion. The particle theory of matter was first put forward in the 1870s. Only then could scientists explain what was causing Brownian motion. Next, we have gas pressure. As you can see, pressure is determined by the flow of mass from a high pressure region to a low pressure region. Pressure measurements are made on the fluid states of liquids and gases. What is pressure? Pressure is a force exerted by the substance per unit area on another substance. The pressure of gas is the force that the gas exerts on the walls of a container. Pressure is a property which determines the direction in which mass flows. Example of gas pressure has been given there, where you can see how the gas pressure is exerted in the container. As you can see, the gas pressure is the force of the gas particles colliding with the walls of its container. How the gas molecules collides with the container, with the walls of the container.